Welcome to today's deep dive. You know, usually when we look at an old photograph, we project this immense expectation onto it, right?
Oh, absolutely. We treat it like a fossil.
Yeah, exactly. Like the flash goes off, the moment gets captured in this little chemical rectangle, and we think we can point at it 50 years later and say, there it is. That's exactly how it was forever.
Right, which is an incredibly comforting thought for you as the person holding the photo.
Mm.
I mean, we desperately want to believe we can just put a pin in our happiest moments and keep them safe from the chaos of time.
But it doesn't really work like that, does it?
Not at all. Neuroscience tells a completely different story.
Hmm.
Every time you recall a memory, your brain is actually pulling it apart and putting it back together.
Wait, really? It pulls it apart.
Yeah, it actively alters the details based on your current emotional state. So human memory isn't a fossil at all. It's this active, shifting psychological landscape.
And stepping into that landscape is the absolute definition of playing with fire, which is our mission for today. We are going to explore this tension by diving into excerpts from Matt Haig's newly published 2026 novel, The Midnight Train.
Yeah, and we're looking specifically at the opening chapters of the book today, along with some contextual pages that Haig provided.
Right, and Haig obviously has this amazing track record with the Midnight Library and How to Stop Time. He uses these high-concept ideas to really examine grief, memory, and, well, what it means to be our true self.
Exactly. And the hook here is just wild. What if your afterlife wasn't some static, cloudy heaven, but a literal train journey through the actual geography of your own past?
Okay, let's unpack this. Because Haig doesn't actually start us in the afterlife. He drops us right into a jarring, almost painful contrast between a supposedly perfect memory and a lonely present.
Right. We meet the protagonist, Wilbur Budd, and it's August 9th, 1974.
The honeymoon phase.
Literally, he's 29 years old on his honeymoon in Venice with his zoo wife, Maggie. They're heading to this slightly decrepit but beautiful terracotta building, the Hotel Proserpina.
And the sensory details here are just so hyper-specific. I mean, Wilbur is wearing flared jeans, sandals, a green shirt with these massive 70s collars.
Don't forget the big sideburns.
Right, the sideburns. And Maggie is in an orange jumpsuit holding a Pentax camera her dad gave her for the wedding.
It's just this intoxicating honeymoon bubble. They sit down by the Grand Canal drinking wine, looking out at the Rialto Bridge.
And Maggie literally articulates this desire to stop the clock. She says, let's ignore time. Let's be Venice. Forever and ever.
Which sounds incredibly romantic on the surface.
It does, but honestly, it makes me think of an insect trapped in amber. Like, it looks beautiful, the light catches it perfectly, but the thing inside is dead, it has no room to grow.
That's a really dark way to look at a honeymoon.
Well, I'm just thinking, isn't it actually kind of dangerous to believe that a relationship can be frozen in a perfect moment? You're basically setting an impossible baseline. You are guaranteeing that you'll be disappointed by the inevitable reality of aging and change.
I mean, you've hit on the core tension driving Wilbur's entire life. By trying to be like Venice made of stone, immune to the tides, they're completely denying human nature.
Yeah.
And Haig weaves this really subtle, eerie foreshadowing into this perfect afternoon. Wilbur suddenly hears a cold whisper in his ear.
Right. The whisper, it says, you need to keep hold of this.
Yeah. And he hears the faint sound of a train whistle. Plus, he looks up at a portico and sees a ghost-like doppelganger of his own 29-year-old self waving back at him.
Which is just deeply unsettling for a sunny honeymoon scene. And then, bam! The narrative smashes straight from 1974 into April 2026.
52 years later.
Yeah, Wilbur is 81 now. He's living completely alone in Clop Hill, Bedfordshire.
He's got trophies on the mantle for British Business Person of the Year. He has a gardener named Josh. But his life is just fragile.
It's silent. He's literally taking piano lessons just to stave off cognitive decline, painfully stretching his arthritic fingers to hit an E flat.
And then the amber completely shatters. He gets a phone call on his landline. After decades of silence, it's Maggie.
Calling from Sheffield.
Right. And hearing her frail, aged voice completely wrecks him. She tells him she had a dream of them being young in their old house. And this forces Wilbur to violently confront the gap between the 29-year-old he feels like inside and his 81-year-old reality.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The emotional weight of this call has literal, violent, physical consequences. Hearing her voice triggers this desperate need to physically touch their shared past.
So he drags his 81-year-old body up into his suffocating, dusty attic.
Crawling on his hands and knees over stacks of magazines just to find one specific relic, the last page of Maggie's breakup letter from decades ago.
And the insight in that letter is profound. Maggie wrote that she was leaving him to stay alive because they were trapped by past traumas.
Yeah, she shares this fascinating theory. She argues that people grow old around art, but the art stays fresh.
Exactly. And she says memory works the same way. Their love is still alive back in the past, even if the marriage is over.
It's a beautiful thought, but reading it in that hot attic is physiologically too much for Wilbur.
We often separate emotional pain from physical trauma, but they process in overlapping regions of the brain. When Wilbur reads that letter, he gets a massive flood of adrenaline and cortisol.
Oh, wow.
It's like what cardiologists call Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, broken heart syndrome. The emotional shock literally stuns the heart muscle.
So his heart literally couldn't process the emotional bandwidth of the past colliding with the present. It's like a system overload on a computer. Pain shoots down his arm. He staggers out to the lawn while his gardener Josh is mowing the grass and he collapses.
He dies at exactly 1 minute past midnight. The brutal irony here is that Maggie's letter about staying alive by letting go is the exact thing that kills him, because he held on too tightly.
He literally dies from the weight of his own nostalgia. But, in Haig's world, this isn't just a fade to black.
Far from it. It's a customized transition tailored to his subconscious.
Right, the afterlife isn't a destination here, it's a curriculum.
Yeah.
He wakes up on a dark, desolate train platform, and the sign just says, Wilbur.
A ticket floats down. Single journey. The midnight train. Departure time. 0.01. Sunday, 19 April.
And the train that pulls in is a massive, life-sized version of a toy train from his childhood. A 3-cylinder passenger express steam engine, the Duke of Gloucester, only now it's renamed the Midnight Train.
And Wilbur looks down, expecting to see his arthritic hands, but he's physically 29 again, wearing the exact flared jeans and green shirt from his Venice honeymoon.
He meets his guide, Agnes Bagdell, who steps off the first carriage, and she's basically the celestial librarian matching Wilbur with the ultimate book, his own life story.
When she was alive, she owned Bagdale's bookshop in Sheffield. Widowed at Ypres during World War I, she always believed books were mirrors for the soul.
Okay, but I have a question about this. Agnes says Wilbur reverted to 29 because it's the age he was closest to his true self. But do we really have a single true self tied to a specific age? Or is that just the cosmic equivalent of peaking in high school?
What's fascinating here is how the afterlife is constructed entirely from personal psychology. When psychologists talk about the true self, they aren't talking about when you look the best or had the most energy.
Oh, okay. What are they talking about then?
They mean a state of being unburdened by defense mechanisms. For Wilbur, 29 was the intersection of hope and vulnerability.
Ah, so it was before the decades of fear and isolation built that hardened shell around him.
Exactly. Agnes knows this because she represents the soul of a bookseller, combined with the reality of time and the universe. Your afterlife here is built from the architecture of your own internal landscape.
So it's about vulnerability, not nostalgia, which makes sense because once the train departs, that vulnerability is immediately tested.
Oh, absolutely. He looks out the window, and instead of stars, the sky is this jaundiced, uncanny yellow, like a swirling impressionist painting.
And Agnes explains that this yellow sky is actually like memory itself. It contains everything at once.
Right. And then a World War II hurricane plane suddenly materializes in that yellow sky, tilting at this desperate angle.
His father's plane.
Yeah. And right outside the dining car window, the plane violently explodes. Wilbur is forced to watch his father die in combat.
A man who died months before Wilbur was even born. Agnes calls these unlived memories. Facts pressed deep into him before he existed. He's grieved this man his whole life, and now he has to watch it.
It's incredibly harrowing.
It reminds me of a shared cloud storage drive where traumatic files uploaded by your parents are forcibly synced to your own brain. But let me push back a bit. Is it really fair that in our life review, we are forced to process traumas that technically didn't even happen to us?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it aligns perfectly with the science of epigenetics.
Inherited trauma, right?
Exactly. Severe trauma can literally alter how genes are expressed. The flood of cortisol leaves chemical markers on DNA, which are passed down. So Wilbur's nervous system is hyperreactive to stress because of what happened to his father.
So the train isn't just showing what Wilbur did, it's demanding he understand what shaped him.
Right. He has to witness the foundational tragedy that dictated his family's reality.
Wow. And the train doesn't let him just watch the abstract sky for long. It stops, and he physically steps into the gritty reality of his childhood.
He steps off into Sheffield in 1945, Glossop Road. which is completely full of rubble from German bombs.
And he's a ghost. He watches his 7-year-old brother, Dougie, get into a fight with this kid, Bobby Thomas.
A kid who, Wilbur knows, will end up in Leeds prison 13 years later.
So what does this all mean? It's like watching a movie where you know the tragic fates of all the extras. You're completely powerless.
He is powerless, especially when he watches his mother, Edith, yank Dougie away. She's completely resentful of being a widow with another mouth to feed.
She glares at the baby and the pram baby Wilbur, just totally hollowed out by resentment.
And this is the climax of the scene. The baby starts crying. So the 29-year-old ghost of Wilbur walks over and looks into the pram.
And the baby stops crying.
Yes. The living infant makes direct, unbroken eye contact with the 29-year-old ghost of its future dead self.
That part gives me absolute chills.
It's a profound realization. A baby cries because it inherently expects a solution. As a baby, optimism is pure.
Right, it's expecting comfort.
And as an 81-year-old ghost in a 29-year-old body, Wilbur finally sees the root of his mother's coldness and his brother's anger.
He gets the complete context, which allows him to replace a lifetime of resentment with deep, contextual empathy.
He realizes his mother wasn't just cold, she was terrified.
Which is just such an incredible way to wrap up this journey. You know, Matt Haig's source material brilliantly uses this fantastical premise to deliver a really grounding truth for all of us. We are all just a collection of our past joys, our inherited traumas, and the art of our memories. We aren't frozen in amber. We're all of it at once.
It really is a powerful thought, and it leaves you with a final question to mull over. If a steam engine pulled up for you tonight and you stepped aboard, what age would your true self be wearing? And more importantly, what unlived memories would be playing in the yellow sky outside your window, quietly running the script of your life?
Such a great question to end on. Thank you so much for joining us on this custom-tailored deep dive into the source material. We will see you next time.